Good morning, warriors, and welcome to Morning Adrenaline. Today is Tuesday, February 16th, February 17th, 2026. And it is time, as always, to wake up the warrior. Listen, today is not a comfort conversation. Today is a mirror. And most people don't like what mirrors reveal because mirrors don't exaggerate. They don't criticize. They simply show you what's there. And most of you won't finish this episode. And it's not because you're busy, but it's because you are comfortable. See, comfort protects the version of you that avoids pressure. And pressure exposes everything. You see, there's a version of you that only shows up under pressure. That version doesn't live in your plans. It doesn't live in your intentions. It lives in resistance. Steel is never shaped in comfort. It's heated until it glows, then hammered into form. It doesn't negotiate with the fire. It doesn't argue with the hammer. It endures the process and becomes something stronger in the end. See, most people want the shine. Very few volunteer for the furnace. And so here's the tension point. Some of you will click away because deep down you already know you've been avoiding the fire, avoiding hard conversations, avoiding disciplined mornings, avoiding the standard you claim that you want. But if that stings, this message is exactly for you. It's for you. It's for me. It's for anyone who refuses to die average. So the real question is this: will you step into the fire or stay where it's safe? So today's episode I've titled Forged in Fire or Finished in Comfort. As always, I'm not here to motivate or hype you up. Today is not about a temporary surge of energy. This is about being forged. It's also about giving something up. Because comfort will let you exist, but fire will force you to decide who you are as a person, as a human being, as an employee, as an employer, as a mother, as a father, as a friend. Right now, you're being shaped by what you tolerate, by what you avoid, by what you refuse to confront. So today we're stepping into the four arenas that define your life, what I always refer to as the four stories of your life: your business and your career, your relationships, your health and your fitness, and your spirituality and faith. Not as categories, but as proving grounds. Because magnetism isn't about personality or charisma. It's actually about alignment. When your business reflects discipline, your body reflects standards. Your relationships reflect maturity, and your faith reflects conviction. That's when presence becomes undeniable. So this isn't about improvement. Improvement just tweaks behavior. Transformation reconstructs identity. So before we go any further, you need to answer something honestly. So let's dive into our question of the day. If nothing in your life required discomfort to maintain, would anything about you be impressive? And if the answer is no, why are you protecting comfort like it's sacred? Now, let me sharpen and restate the question a little differently. If you're living on Easy Street right now, is anything about you impressive? And let's be clear, we're not talking about your money. We're not talking about your job title. We're not talking about the car you drive or the home that you live in, not the amount of followers you have on Instagram. We are talking about you. See, your money is just an object. Your success is a circumstance. Doesn't mean you didn't earn it and work for it. But right now, your title is your circumstance. It doesn't define exactly who you are. And both can disappear. I'm asking about the brand of you, your discipline, your standards, your presence. When people strip away what you own, your possessions, your fun, your travel? Is there anything about your character that commands respect? Or have you confused possession with identity? Because guess what? If all that went away, what's left? Would people still be attracted to you? Comfort can flash possessions, but it will never produce strength, and strength is what survives the fire. So now let's move from awareness to responsibility. That's enough reflection, enough internal debate. It's time to build, because insight alone without action is self-deception. Listen, fire doesn't destroy steel. It reveals what it's made of, then reshapes it. So we're stepping directly into the fire proving grounds where identity is either forged or it's exposed. Business and career, health and fitness, relationships, faith and spirituality, and the magnetism that results when all of those align. This is where comfort loses its grip and construction or reconstruction of self begins. So let's start here. Fire does not build identity. It reveals it. Pressure does not build character. Pressure does not build character. It exposes it. Pressure is simply a spotlight. It shows you what was already there. When business slows down, when your body is tired, when your faith feels silent, when a relationship gets tense, who shows up? What shows up? Excuses, blame, avoidance, or ownership? Because ownership is the dividing line. Anyone can look disciplined when conditions are favorable, but pressure removes the performance. See, I've been forged in business fire. There were seasons where revenue dipped, partnerships shifted or dissipated. Pressure absolutely mounted. 2008 in real estate. Thank you very much. Times where there was no applause. There was no safety net, but just decisions that had to be made quickly and decisively. And that's where you discover whether you're an operator or an optimist. Optimists hope it works out. Operators adjust and execute. Comfort hides weakness. Fire exposes it. And here's what most people don't want to admit. You don't fear failure. You fear exposure. The body wants safety. The mind wants certainty. But the soul was built for refinement. The body is just the vessel. It is not the command center. If the body decides, you retreat. If the mind commands, you endure. If the soul is anchored, you grow. And refinement requires heat. No heat, no reshaping. No pressure, no elevation. No fire, no transformation. So let's jump into point number one and talk about business, because real fire costs you something. In business, fire looks like risk. And I'm not talking about my business is on fire, or I'm talking about fire in terms of transformation. So it looks like investing when you're unsure, hiring before you feel ready, letting go of what's predictable to pursue what's aligned, saying no to good opportunities so you can say yes to the right ones. Comfort in business is subtle because success can disguise your stagnation. Revenue can hide misalignment. Reputation can hide fear. Predictability can hide small-mindedness and small thinking. Listen, you don't become magnetic because your business is successful right now. You become magnetic because you stayed steady when it wasn't. You were decisive. You were proactive. You were strong. Because when your revenue dips, when partnerships shift, when markets turn, when momentum slows, that's when identity gets exposed for the positive or for the negative. And sometimes the fire isn't losing something. Sometimes it's simply walking away from something that works to pursue something more impactful, a more impactful venture. See, there was a season where I walked away from 27 years of strong, proven revenue. 27 years in the residential real estate business as a real estate agent. I walked away from systems. I walked away from relationships. I walked away from predictable income. I walked away from a reputation. I had built a successful YouTube channel. I have pages and upon pages of Google reviews and Google credibility that I worked very hard and paid a lot of money to build. Also, I could build Cisa Vita and T Scott Elite. Ventures, by the way, that God guided me towards to be more impactful, to build impact. See, from the outside, it doesn't make any sense. Why would somebody 27 years successful in real estate walk away to build a startup? It makes no sense to most people. What I had was stable. It was profitable. It was respected. But walking away wasn't emotional. It was intentional. And there's only one explanation for it: God's intervention. It wasn't a dramatic exit. In fact, I'm still licensed, so I didn't exactly exit loudly, but I was clear with my intention. A self-conviction that said, you built success, you've made money, now build impact. Do something that impacts people by the masses. And that kind of fire doesn't look chaotic. It looks like clarity that costs you something. And believe me, it has cost me a lot to build what I've built today. And so here's what most people miss. When you're called forward, comfort will argue. It's going to fight back. Logic will protest. Other people will question your sanity. But obedience expands capacity faster than comfort ever will, ever could. Your career will only grow to the level your identity can sustain. So if you see yourself as small, you'll sabotage scale. If you see yourself as entitled, you'll mishandle growth. If you see yourself, however, as a steward, you build with responsibility. And stewardship shifts everything. Because now it's no longer about ego. It's about assignment. Fire in business isn't about money, guys. Money is just a byproduct. Fire in business is shaping with fire in business is about capacity. How much pressure you can handle without lowering your standards. How much success you can steward without losing alignment. Because business doesn't forge entrepreneurs, it reveals leaders. Now let's talk about health. Because the body obeys whoever is in charge. So let's start out by talking about the gym. When someone that doesn't know you sees you lean, fit, strong, muscular, defined, a lot of people, let's be honest, they think it's genetics. They think it's luck. The luck of the draw, the gene. You hit the gene pool. They don't see the mornings you didn't feel like it. They don't see the food you didn't eat. They don't use the morning internal negotiations, or they don't see, the morning internal negotiations that your mind ended quickly. You know that battle in your mind, am I going to go, am I not? Do I feel like it? Nobody cares. Nobody cares if you feel like it. So you shouldn't care if you feel like it. Because the battle is never fought externally. It's won internally. Your body is just the vessel. It's not the command center. Your body leads. If your body leads, your life drifts. If your mind commands, your body complies. And if your identity is anchored, your body follows orders. You remember in 2020 when everything shut down? The gyms locked, routines disrupted, structure removed. And I made a decision. When I came back, when they were going to reopen the gyms after a year here in Arizona, I was going to be obsessed. It's that scarcity thing. When something's taken away from you, you're never going to let it get taken away again. I became obsessed. And it wasn't an emotional obsession. It was a disciplined obsession. I came back stronger, more focused, more resilient. And I stopped competing with other people in the gym. I stopped looking and judging. And I started competing with myself. And that's when my results accelerated. See, let me give you a little bit more background. Since 2020, 2 years ago, almost to today, 2 years and about a week and a half ago, I was at the Phoenix Waste Management Open here in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I slipped down a step and I ruptured my patella tendon. Complete rupture, completely gone. I left in an ambulance, stretchered out of the 16th hole, left in an ambulance, went to an emergency center. 3 days later, I had surgery. A week later, my knee completely bandaged. I had a brace from the top of my leg all the way to my ankle, which I kept for 5 months, by the way. My knee still bandaged from the surgery, from the scar, from the blood, from the surgery. And a week later, I thought I was going to pass out. I'm in on crutches and I'm pushing weights again. And literally nearly passing out while I'm there. 5 months of complete limitation. I did not miss my gym time. 5 months with a brace on my knee. You know, the big clunky brace that goes from your groin down to your ankle? 5 months. Rebuilding. Not just maintaining my upper body, but rebuilding my lower body. Last year, I started having pain in my left shoulder. I've had pain in it for 21 years. I started having intense pain. Excruciating, acute pain in my left shoulder. So I went and got x-rayed. I went to a doctor and I found out that all my cartilage is gone. I lost the battle to osteoarthritis. I no longer have cartilage in my left shoulder. Yet to this day, Thursday is shoulder day and it's my favorite day of the week. I love it. I love shredding my shoulders. I love rounding my shoulders. Yeah, it's painful, but I push through it. That's the fire, guys. That is the fire. Now, for most people that see me, they have no idea. You look at me, you have no idea the battle I've been through in the gym. But the people that know me, the people that have seen me in the gym for the last 2 years, they know I've been forged in fire when it comes to the gym. A lot of you can't get forged in fire and you have no excuse. Your health is fine. No, you're not healthy because you don't go to the gym and you don't eat right, but your health is fine. You're perfectly healthy. See, injuries can't stop you. They didn't stop me. They refined me. Pain didn't become an excuse. It became instruction because discipline isn't tested when you feel good. It's tested when you don't. Your physique is a receipt of your standards, not your genetics. Not your motivation. Nobody cares how you feel, but your standards. You don't get forged in a highlight reel. You get forged in repetition, in showing up when it's inconvenient, in adjusting when it hurts, in executing when no one is watching. Because when the body obeys the mind, confidence becomes automatic. And when confidence becomes automatic, presence changes. But here's the next point. Physical discipline means nothing if you lack emotional discipline. Relationships expose ego faster than anything else. Business can hide arrogance behind results. Fitness can hide insecurity behind aesthetics. But intimacy, it reveals everything. Because in close proximity, you can't perform for long. Fire in relationships doesn't look dramatic. It looks subtle. It's listening when you want to defend, pausing when you want to react, waiting to speak next, apologizing when your pride resists, leading when emotions fluctuate, staying steady when someone else is not. You cannot be magnetic publicly and immature privately. Eventually, those cracks meet. And when they do, the collapse is quiet. The first thing that erodes is respect. Then comes trust. Then connection. The question isn't whether conflict will come, because it will. The question is whether your identity is strong enough to stay grounded when it does. Because emotionally undisciplined people escalate. Emotionally disciplined people anchor. One brings chaos into a room, the other brings stability. And stability is rare. If you avoid hard conversations, you avoid depth. If you suppress truth to keep peace, you build resentment. If you dominate instead of lead, you destroy safety. Shallow people create shallow bonds, and shallow bonds cannot survive pressure. Maturity is revealed in how you handle friction, not how you perform in peace. Because relationships don't just reveal who you love, they reveal who you are. And so if relationships reveal your emotional maturity, then faith, the next point, reveals your core identity. And this is where most people retreat, because faith is easy to inherit. It's hard to choose. Faith isn't tested when life is smooth. It's tested when prayer feels unanswered, when outcomes are uncertain, when obedience costs something. See, faith over fear isn't poetic. It's not just a saying. It's not just something Christians and people say. It's practical. It means acting aligned even when you don't see the full blueprint ahead. See, there were seasons in my life where stepping forward didn't make sense financially, socially, or strategically. But alignment isn't always, or is it meant to be, comfortable? Are you starting to see the theme here? You're not supposed to be comfortable. And I would rather be refined by obedience than preserved by fear. Now, let me say something that might surprise you for those of you that follow and listen to me. I grew up in a Christian church, 52 years attending, and for most of that time, I called myself a Christian. In fact, for all of that time, I considered myself a Christian. But if I'm honest, I had little to no real faith. I had familiarity, I had language, I had tradition, but I did not have conviction. See, attendance isn't transformation. Being around faith is not the same as having it. It's not just a word people use. And so for me, there came a point where I had to confront something that was uncomfortable. And here's the conclusion I came to. For 52 years, I had been asking myself the wrong question. I kept asking myself, what if there is no God? And see, that question created discipline or distance. It creates distance from myself and God. It creates doubt, but it keeps you intellectually safe and comfortable, but it also keeps you spiritually stalled. So I just simply reframed it. I stopped asking, what if there is no God? And I started asking, what if there is? And that shift required commitment. It required courage. It required becoming very uncomfortable. Because if there is, then I'm now accountable. If there is, then my life has become stewardship. If there is, then alignment matters. And when I gave space for that transformation to happen, not forcing it, not performing it, everything began to change for me. I started to pray to God. I got down on my knees, tears rolling down my face one night, and I prayed to God. I said, God, I need answers. And guess what happened? The next day, answers came quickly. But that's not all. The confusion and chaos in my mind dissipated and quieted. And it wasn't because all of a sudden the very next day my life became easier. It was because identity became anchored. See, guys, listen, 2 years ago, I would go to church, 52 years old. After 52 years in the church, I would go to church and I would feel sheepish. I would look at the ground during prayer with my eyes open and wonder and kind of look out of the corner of my eyes and look around to see if what everybody else was doing. I questioned if the Bible was real. I'm that kind of guy, I'm like, prove it to me. But all I had to do was reframe the question, what if there is no God, to what if there is? And then I had to buy in. And once I bought in, everything changed. Answers came quickly. And God went to work. See, God refines who you are ready to become, not to harm you, but to prepare you. The soul defines the person, the body executes. The mind programs, but the soul determines direction. And if your soul is weak, no amount of external success will make you steady, because eventually pressure reaches the core. And when it does, only identity holds. See, faith is the deepest fire because it burns away illusion. And what remains is who you truly are. See, I was thinking about this today. It must be very difficult for an atheist to be lost, because where does faith and hope come from? Now, let's tie this together. This is where magnetic effect is forged. You want to be magnetic? Magnetism is not charisma. It's congruence. It's what happens when there is no gap between what you say and how you live. Being in your authentic is what I like to call it. When your business is built from stewardship, when your body reflects discipline, when your relationships show maturity, when your faith anchors your decisions, people feel it. You don't have to announce it. You don't have to perform it. You don't have to demand respect. It's automatically given, because consistency builds credibility and credibility builds trust. The fire removed what was fragile. Pressure eliminated what was fake. What remains is alignment. And alignment is rare. That's why it's magnetic. So listen, let's bring this home. This is what the fire actually did. Fire revealed your identity. Business pressure expanded your capacity. Physical discipline proved who was in command, and relational friction exposed your maturity. Faith anchored your soul. Comfort preserves who you are, but fire reconstructs who you're becoming. You don't get forged accidentally. You volunteer, you decide, you endure. And eventually, you emerge different. Not louder, not flashier, but stronger, steadier, and aligned. So here's the final question. When the fire comes, and it will it consume you or will it confirm you? Because one version of you avoids pressure, the other walks into it with conviction. So decide which one you are. Work your body, feed your mind, build your soul. Wake up the warrior. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Stuck in your mind, fighting shadows of a story you left behind.